Watch me on kick, dude. What are you doing? Winners, I love you. Instantly, and it's RC time. Oh, shun. Give me just a second here. Let me grab one. Thank you for the kick, Roark. Hell yeah. Dude. Winners, I love you. You're going to eventually run out of them points. RC time, oh son. Bust them open. I will not be chugging this one because last night when I grabbed one and chugged, it about killed me. What's up? What's going on, Bubby? Speaking of which, I forgot to pull up my Twitch chat. How unfortunate. Thank God that it's displayed on the screen so I can, in fact, see it. That's what I'm talking about. About to blow my eardrums out, though. Goddamn louder than fuck. That fucking hurts, dude. I love you, though, and appreciate it. Hell yeah. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That hurts. It's good to see all you boys, too. And I trust everybody's day has been a good one. I have good news. Matter of fact, went to the doctor today, and they told me that my blood pressure is perfectly normal. That it was just because I had flu B the other day. So good news is my EKG and my blood pressure is fine. I'm not dying, boys. Wow! Hell yeah. Ain't gonna lie. Must be nice. Dude. You can't kill somebody from Section 8, dude. I'm like a roach. I'll never go away. No, actually, I could probably be killed quite easy. Because I don't hide from nobody, so if somebody see me, they was like, yeah, he got to go. It'd probably be pretty easy. I don't know why I hide smoking cigarettes on stream when I'm on Twitch. Because Joe Bartolozzi got on there the other day and smoked weed on Twitch. So I don't know why I'm nervous about it. I just figured they'd instantly like come down on me and be like, you can't do that shit, O'Shun. What the fuck are you doing? Man said be right back making fun of Casey for stuttering at Winners. Terrible, dude. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Y'all should feel ashamed of y'allselves making fun of Casey O'Shun. You got a purty mouth. So do you. I've seen pictures of you. Don't play with me. You only live about an hour away. I'll come get you. Good boy. All right, so, gentlemen, what are we doing today? That is the question that I have yet to answer because I don't know yet. That's right. I just need y'all to start spamming emojis. Let me know you're in here. Just spam an emoji. I don't care which one it is. Hell yeah. Would you rather be a Super Saiyan or a superhero? Dude, I would rather be a superhero, and let me tell you why. If I can pick to be an anti-hero, I want to be Venom. And the reason why is because Venom always has somebody with him. There's always somebody to talk to, dude. He's never alone. And his thoughts are not just his thoughts anymore. So, if you think about it, dude, he's not trapped. He's not tied to his own thoughts anymore. He's got someone else invading them, and he's also invading their thoughts. So I would 100% rather be a superhero, and I would want to be an anti-hero, and I'd want to be Venom. Because what's cooler, dude, than jumping off a roof, and then all of a sudden you turn into this gigantic, horrifically demonic-looking creature, slam on the ground in front of some poor bastard that's trying to rob an old woman for a purse because he's starving to death, and then just eat his face, and then flex. That is the best way I can describe it. I would 100% want to be Venom. Just walking down the road, Mikey. Ah! Fucking take off running because I don't know what it is. But hold on. Think about it. Super Saiyans are going into great ape transformation. I don't know. I never really watched Dragon Ball Z. So like the whole like Super Saiyan thing versus superheroes, I don't guess I ever really like cared for Super Saiyans. But I am like a ridiculously big Marvel fan. I got like a tism for superheroes. I don't know what it is. I love superhero movies, dude. All that shit. Like when a new one comes out, I have got to see it. I don't care much for like Guardians of the Galaxy or shit like that, like the little like side movies. But as far as like Venom, Spider-Man, let me think. Venom, Spider-Man. I like the Thor movies. I hate Captain America. I just got to keep it a buck. I cannot stand Captain America. I don't know what it is about that guy. He just pisses me off. Somebody will say shit around him. He'll be like, watch your mouth. I'll be like, brother, you don't talk to me. You're the weakest superhero out here. I'll fuck you up, dude. Why are you in charge? Okay? Why are you here? I know that he's got like super strength and shit, but he just kind of reminds me of Batman. If I'm being honest with you. Like if Batman had like super strength and that was it. I don't know. I can't remember if he's got like what other powers he's got because I don't like him. But like Hulk, dude. Like the Incredible Hulk. Venom, Thor, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Deadpool. All these superheroes are like dope as fuck, dude. I mean, if you could be a Super Saiyan in Marvel with Venom, would be dope. Yeah, dude, just like freak out. Wolverine, yeah, Wolverine's the shit. I'm a big fan, man, of like Marvel movies. And I am into that shit, dude. Gambit is the shit. Some of those other superheroes too was pretty funny, like the old ones that nobody really pays attention to anymore, like Blade and all them, and that new Deadpool movie. Whenever they run into him, and then fucking Channing Tatum was playing that guy with the cards. That shit was funny because it's like, what superpower do you have? That motherfucker could throw cards though, dude. I kind of like Moon Knight on Disney Plus. I haven't watched it yet. And I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not watching. Oh, fucking Daredevil, bro. Daredevil is fucking awesome. Yeah, Moon Knight is Marvel. Is 100% Marvel. Daredevil's fucking cool, dude. Ghost Rider's the shit, man. They need to go ahead and bring him to like the MCU. Pick a new guy to play him. Here's my thing about Ghost Rider though, is if they're gonna bring him in, I don't want him to be Nicolas Cage. And I don't want him to be this fucking biker that thinks he's cooler than everybody. I don't like that whole like aesthetic. I think what it needs to be is some dude in a hoodie that you would never expect to be a superhero. And that's his power. He like turns into that and fucking, I want it to be a cowboy. The cowboy in the Ghost Rider movie, the original Ghost Rider that he met, that fucking shit was hard, dude. When that horse was running, every time it would gallop, man, and its fucking hoofs would hit the ground, it would leave flaming footprints. That shit was badass. Tobey Maguire was the best Spider-Man. Fight me? Dude, you ain't got to fight me, dude. I 100% agree with you. There'll never be another Spider-Man like Tobey Maguire. Dude, when I was in the damn movie theater and I seen that man come through the portal, bro, my eyes teared up. Not really. But I did get overly excited whenever I seen him, though. It was like watching my childhood hero come back to life, which is pretty cool. But anyway, like Ghost Rider needs to be a dude that's like freaked out, like by motorcycles and shit, got like a phobia of them, wears like a hoodie. You never expect him to be a superhero. And then when he fucking turns into the Ghost Rider, that's when he's a badass. You know, that shit would be cool. I like more of the awkward style comedy of someone that you wouldn't expect to be a superhero that is badass, and I think that's why Tobey Maguire fit Spider-Man so well, because his character was such a like a nerd dude, and everybody's like, this dude ain't about nothing, and then he was a fucking like, he was a fighter, dude. He was a fighter, and he was damn good at what he done, and that's why he fit that role so well. And if they would do that with more heroes, like, because you got to think, man, they're still regular guys, you know, like they can't always be just as tough as can be. And I like Iron Man too, but I feel like Iron Man was a little overplayed. Like he was a little too much because again, he is just Batman in a metal suit. No offense to him, Tony Stark was dope, dude. He's a lot cooler than Batman, but he is ultimately just a dude in a suit. Like he has no powers. He's just smart. I mean, I guess that is his power, but at the same time, it's not really like a cool superpower. But it's okay for Hulk to have that power of being like intelligent because he's so belligerently angry and ignorant that it doesn't matter anymore. Like once he goes to that level of rage, it doesn't matter whether or not he's smart or not. Billionaire philanthropist is Iron Man's power. Yeah, dude, pretty much, and that's Batman's power. You know, like I mean, it's kind of annoying when people like that get intertwined with superheroes. It's just like, you know, it's just their money. Their money's their superpower. You're showing kids that money is a superpower, and that's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous assumption. But like Hulk, dude. Oh yeah. I want to see a Marvel movie where Venom gets on Hulk, and how that turns out. Like what that Venom looks like. Like the sludge kind of like got like a blackish green tint to it, dude. And it's like a violently enraged creature. That would be fucking dope. Because, you know, the symbiotes, when they get on something, they kind of take the form of whatever that person is, which we've seen that in the Venom movies whenever he got on Eddie. Because at first, when he first attached himself to Eddie, Eddie was a narcissistic prick that was only like worried about himself. And Venom was just going to wipe out the human race. And their personalities and thought processes intertwining with each other, and they became one. It really helped define and shape both their personalities, which is cool. Unpopular opinion, I enjoyed She-Hulk. I never seen it. For Dragon Ball, I like Bardock. I think that's how you say it. Is that how you say it? I'm not sure who that is. I think the last time I watched Dragon Ball Z, I was 8 years old. And I watched it. It was the main dude or whatever, and he was fighting that white dude that had like the purple head. He's Goku's dad. Hell yeah. Yeah, it was Goku. It was Goku fighting the dude with the purple head. The dude inside of, like, when I actually do like think about Dragon Ball Z, the one I like is I like that little like bald headed midget. I think he's cool, dude. Do you watch Star Wars? I like the older Star Wars. The older Star Wars is pretty cool. One of my favorite things from Star Wars is usually the video games. But it was specifically Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PlayStation 2. Krillin? Yeah, him, dude. He's dope. I like Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PlayStation 2 because it OG Battlefront. Yeah, dude. But the one on PlayStation 2, man, it was, I don't know, it was just fun. You know, you was just a random clone. You wasn't a Jedi. You didn't have no like special powers. Wasn't nothing really going on. It was just a straight up war, bro. And like the whole like story mode was cool because you just went from like planet to planet, just conquering them. I like that. Do you like the Clone Wars or shows with that animation? If so, check out Miles Shadow Lord. It's really good so far. Oh yeah, dude. Battlefield the dudes that make Battlefield, they tried to redo Star Wars Battlefront, and it was good, dude. It was good. It just didn't gain the traction that it should have. You know what I mean? Like they did a fucking phenomenal job making them guns seem real. The reloading process, the graphics, I mean everything was dope, man. But it just didn't get like the proper exposure as it deserved. I think that could have been like a real good game online, dude. bunch of people just fucking fighting it out like a motherfucker. What up, brother? What's going on, Jimmy? You doing all right, oh son? Battlefield 1 was the best. You talking about like the Bad Company? Bad Company was fun. Yeah, Bad Company was the shit, dude. I still play Battlefield 1. Y'all ever played I don't think it's owned by Battlefield, but it's called Battlefield. It's called Battlefield like 1942 or something like it. Come out on like a PlayStation, or not a PlayStation, but come out on like Xbox 360 like way back in the day, dude. It was called like Battlefield 1942. And it was like a little indie game, I think. And that game was the shit, dude. Damn, y'all gonna delete that man's comment because he said Battlefield 2042 was pretty good. And everybody's like, no, it was not. No. And he's just gonna delete his comment. Yeah, it was PS1, I think. Another game, dude, that was cool. Looked like Call of Duty, didn't it? Are you talking about Medal of Honor? Because the Battlefield 1942 was on Xbox 360. Battlefield 6 is better than Battlefield 2042. Maybe. Medal of Honor is not. I don't think they make games anymore, do they? Medal of Honor was dope, dude. It's just and they had like some really cool like ahead of their time kind of things going on. I played the player-made servers, so son, I will not have that here. Delete them and shit. 2042 sucks. Battlefield 6 is good. Battlefield 6, I will say, man, like they did some shit that people should have done. They should have done, like a lot of games should have done a long time ago, which was the whole being able to rush into battle, get your teammates, drag them out of there while your teammate can still like actively fight back and fucking be able to like perform medical and shit on them like that. I don't know why that's not really been a thing in any of them. That doesn't make sense. Like even Call of Duty, like I remember on Black Ops, I think it was the first Black Ops. It may have been the first Black Ops, or it might have been, no, it was World at War. World at War was the first one that had the ability to fight back. You know what I mean? Like you fall down, you get knocked down, you got the pistol, you can still fight back online, and you could like crawl, like real slow. You know what I mean? And you could crawl out of the war, and one of your buddies could like revive you. But why has it not been a thing to be able to rush into battle, grab your like your fallen soldier, and pull that motherfucker out of the war? World at War has the best zombies, like real war. Yeah, no shit, like real war, dude. Where I will agree that World at War has the best zombies, but I will say that my favorite one, and the reason why World at War has the best zombies is because it's OG, and they did it. That was the like it was fresh, dude. It was cool. But my favorite one was Black Ops, the original Black Ops zombies. Got a game I've yet to start playing, but I haven't played it because nobody owns it. Content warning is the game. I keep hearing about that game. I've had quite a few people come into chat tell me that they wanted to watch me play that game. I just haven't looked into it yet. Also, another one that I've heard people tell me to play is Content King. I'm pretty sure it's where like you're actively trying to become a streamer in Content King, and you get to like figure out how fast you can do it or whatever. So that's probably something I should probably check out. Black Ops 2 forever. Black Ops 2 wasn't bad, dude. I liked Black Ops 2. So when I started like hating Call of Duty is when they started implementing like complete bullshit. Like, don't get me wrong, like we all knew that, you know, there's no fucking zombies or whatever, you know, but that shit was fun, man. That really unlocked the door for Call of Duty and like brought in a lot of players. Cause I know people, dude, that only buy Call of Duty for the zombies. Or only bought Call of Duty for the zombies. I don't know if they still actively play it or not. But the thing is, man, is like Call of Duty, when they started like pumping out games too fast, they started pumping them out too fast, and it was just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit, and it was just the same game with a different skin. Motherfuckers just got tired of it, dude. Like I remember playing Call of Duty 3 online for the first time whenever it fucking come out, dude. I remember playing Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which I fucking loved, by the way. I remember playing, what is it? It was a Call of Duty 4, and then there was Call of Duty. Which one was after Call of Duty 4? What was that? Because there's been so goddamn many of them, dude. Was it Black Ops? Modern Warfare 4 remake's about to come out. Hell yeah. Which one came after Call of Duty 4? Was it Black Ops that came out after that? It's got to be. Modern Warfare 2 was the GOAT. Dude, if you survived them chat rooms back in the day, you make progress in one new COD game, and 6 months later, that progress don't matter because a new one is out. Yeah, they come out as fast as fucking cell phones do, dude. I don't like that. And I don't like the perk system because I remember when they implemented the perk system in World at War, and it was dope at first. Don't get me wrong. Like, and it was kind of cool, but it wasn't like overboard. And like nowadays, it's fucking overboard. And I don't know what it is about these stupid ass skins that they're implementing. Who the fuck is on the battlefield, fighting Nicki Minaj? Why is that a thing? Why am I playing on the battlefield and I turn around and look and Stan Smith from American Dad is cutting my fucking throat? Why is that a thing? You know, that I think that's another thing that's caused Battlefield to succeed past Call of Duty is, for one, they don't pump a game out every 3 months. So it's not just copy and paste. And two, they fucking they don't need these cheap ass skins to get players to come in there, dude. And yeah, like you said, dude, like I hate battle pass systems. What is with the battle pass system? That sucks, dude. That's just forcing people to do shit they don't want to do. Bradley says, "Why I don't play COD anymore? I ain't played COD since, God damn, it's been a long time, dude. Since Black Ops 2? Legitimately? Since Black Ops 2, I haven't played a Call of Duty game since Black Ops 2. They started coming out way too fucking fast after that. And I was like, yeah, this ain't for me, bro. This is a EA Sports fucking it's in a game bullshit. I'm not with that. Modern Warfare 2019 was the last good Call of Duty. Oh. I wouldn't know. I never played it. I became a Battlefield player. But like I don't know, man, because I think another thing that got me away from playing any kind of Call of Duty was games with good storylines. Like really good storylines, and I'm talking like God mode storylines, like fucking Red Dead Redemption 2, which is still one of God's gifts to this earth to this day. Shout out to Arthur Morgan of being someone that so many people could find relation to. It was fucking unreal. They will never have a protagonist that surpasses Arthur Morgan. Ever, dude. Arthur Morgan's story touched every man's soul. And if it didn't touch your soul, you're not a man. I'm just going to tell you right now, you'll have to fight me. You're not a man if it didn't touch your soul. Because that story, in some way, shape, or form, touched every man's soul, dude. It was like one of the saddest goddamn stories that you ever come across. GTA 6, Mike with Jason. I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because the way Arthur Morgan was written, it's not just the way he was written, it's not just the way his story was portrayed. It was also like the true grit of being like you're sleeping out in the wilderness, traveling for long periods of time. You're not gonna get attached to a car. Like you might like a car, bro, but like you get attached to a horse. You know what I mean? Like that horse has life in it. And playing Arthur and watching his horse die, and you're seeing a man that's literally losing his entire life in front of him. He knows he's gonna die. The people that he stuck up for his whole life have completely abandoned him, and the one thing he had left, which was his horse, died in front of him. And you get that connective moment where it shows how much that horse meant to Arthur. And like, you know, then you start thinking about all the times that you brushed your horse in the game, you fed the motherfucker in the game, how much you actually rode him and everything else, and then he dies with you. It's just, I don't know, man, it's heartbreaking. Like Jason, I'm not saying Jason won't have a good story, because I'm certain now by this point that they've got to where they know that if they don't write stories that's as connective as they did, and in Red Dead Redemption 2, that you know, nobody's going to play it for the story mode. Nobody's going to give a shit. So they're putting in all this work for nothing. People are just waiting for the online to come out by that point. Poor Chestnut. My horse in Red Dead Redemption 2. My horse's name was Pinto. Like a bean, Pinto. I won't never forget Pinto. What was the Prison Break game? Well, there's a couple of them, but I know there's one It's pretty cool, dude. It's you and your buddy. You have to play it together. It's like a 2-player game. Maybe it's called A Way Out. I don't know. It's something like that, dude. But it was a cool game, man. It was pretty fun. It had a big twist at the end. That was the shit. They don't make games hardly good anymore. That's why I like indie games, because it feels like they try a little harder. And another thing about the Red Dead Redemption story is yeah, No Way Out. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Another thing about the Red Dead Redemption 2 story was, dude, is not only did you get like connected to Arthur and you get connected to his horse, but you also got connected to like Hosea, and you got connected to which I didn't give a shit about John. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't feel no connection to John whatsoever in the first game and or the second game. It's nothing against John. I don't like John. I'm being honest with you. I don't like John at all. Yeah, I saved John at the end. I didn't go back for the money, and I took care of John. But the only reason why I did that was because John had a son. That's the only reason why I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna go back for the money and try this ending. I'm gonna actually help John. It's because he had a son. That was the only reason why. And Arthur talks about how his son died, so it only seemed right to try to do that. Plus, there's lore within the game that John ran off in the beginning anyways, and Arthur took care of Abigail and the baby for a long time before John came back and started doing the shit that he was supposed to be doing. Who's the big Indian guy? Winners, I know you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, fuck Micah. Who's the big Indian dude that's in the tribe? What was his name? Charles. Yeah, there you go. Charles is somebody else too that you get kind of attached to. You get attached to Lenny. Trying to think of some of the other ones you get attached to. I like Mrs. Grimm. I'm pretty sure it was her name. The one that took up for Arthur at the end there and got shot. I respect her a lot. I liked her a lot. Yeah, Grimshaw. Yeah, took up for her a lot. Liked her a lot. Who else was it that I liked in there, dude? I liked Dutch in the beginning of the game. I mean, obviously, I knew that something bad happened because John's trying to kill him through the whole first one. But like, in the very beginning of Red Dead Redemption 2, when you're like talking to Dutch and he's got like his mind's clear, dude. He knows what's going on. And he's like talking. I like that. It's after that wreck and he starts acting kind of out and he starts noticing he's losing power and this and that and that and this. That's when I really started like hating on Dutch. I like Mary Beth. She was so sweet to Arthur. She was very sweet. That woman, Miss Adler, I believe it was Adler, right? The one his husband died, and y'all take her in, and she starts killing the fuck out of the Skinner brothers. Sadie Adler, that's who it is. Miss Sadie, I liked her a lot too. She was really cool. I think Rockstar, man. What I'm trying to get at is Rockstar really went out of their way whenever they was creating these characters. They gave so much lore, so much backstory, and they put their like whole heart into the story mode of this game. And it does feel like a massive letdown, like of how the online was. And it pisses me off because I feel like it's because Rockstar couldn't find a way to really, really profit off the online like they could with Grand Theft Auto 5. And it just drives me up the wall, dude. I'm not trying to be a dick, you know, because I'm grateful for the story mode itself. But like that is a game that like I wanted to heavily get into online. And by the time like I started getting into it online, there wasn't nothing going on, dude. And that bothers me. You know what I mean? All right, enough of my Rockstar rant here, sitting there talking about Grand Theft Auto. I'm gonna find something here. Yeah, here, this will be a good one. This will be a good one. Whoosh. Oh. All right. We each got 15. Oh, and a quarter. Don't forget the quarter. Oh, yeah. Deadly medieval jobs that meant certain death, oh, son. Lock in on that one. All right, y'all give me just a second. I gotta go grab something. I'll be right back. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves about what video games meant what to you, and then we'll be back, oh, son. All right. I'm about to get in on this one, oh, son. Hell yeah. This is going to be cool. In just a second. Oh. All right. Horrible medieval jobs that meant certain death. Oh my goodness.
Deadly medieval jobs. Like a low IQ fella who just ravaged a Viagra bottle, alchemy was simple, yet very hard. Simple in the fact that it had 3 main goals: turn metal into gold, discover a universal cure for all diseases, and achieve immortality. Simple on paper, but very hard in the reality that no one knew what they were doing. The vast majority of natural science at the time was still a mystery, and it was up to these alchemists to fill in the blanks. But on the path to reaching those improbable goals, many critical discoveries were made. Distillation allowed you to purify poopy brown water by boiling it and cooling the vapor to make less poopy brown water. Many plants could be mashed into festering wounds to make them feel less like you're about to die.
I love how, like, back then, every time they would draw something, like if they drew like a carrot or something like that, like you just seen, it would have a face on it. Like, I always thought that was hilarious.
And sprinkling some sulfur and charcoal over your non-suspicious pile of potassium nitrate could create something called black powder that may or may not be useful in some sort of gun-like device in the future. But every new discovery was the result of thousands of failures. Sure, alchemy would eventually shed away a lot of the primitive theoretical slag and refine itself into modern-day chemistry, but it took millennia of trial and error, and many died in the pursuit of eternal health and infinite wealth. The extent of the alchemical process boiled down to purification, isolating crude elements into their purest forms. And how do you purify things? Fire. Just heat stuff up until something happens. And that was the main problem. You see, alchemists had a rudimentary approach to their own safety when it came to faffing about with toxic substances. Their main form of protection was wearing long robes, or at the bare minimum, a durable leather apron. This would, at the very least, give +5 defense against any spontaneous splishes and splashes of any would-be lotions and potions. But if you've ever been chewed out by your chemistry professor, you know that's often the least of your worries. Now, getting a drop of salty water in your eye at school may seem trivial, but if that harmless sodium chloride enriched dihydrogen monoxide were instead something more spicy like, say, boiling hot mercury, and then things get a little bit more life-threatening-y. Alchemists didn't really use face or eye protection outside of just squinting a little bit and hoping for the best. But when that plugged beaker of
Oh my god, dude! You just imagine that. You like squinting real hard, dude. You like kind of shaking, and you drip some of that motherfucker, and kaboom! You're done, dude. It's over.
boiling broth decides it wants to overcome a pressure differential, you're gonna wish that something was there between you and it. Now, if you were careful enough to uncork your cooking concoctions, you still had to deal with its byproducts. One of the most mysterious and thus often studied materials was liquid mercury. Since it looked like a metal yet flowed like a liquid, the element was often mistaken for the highly sought after elixir of life itself, bringing many to an untimely end.
God damn, what a rough way to go out. What's up, boys? What's up, Sean? We're watching horrible medieval jobs that meant certain death. And we're locking all the way in on this one.
But that didn't stop alchemists from trying to unlock its potential secrets. In any case, the last place that you would want to be burning toxic metals is somewhere cramped and poorly ventilated. Well, it's a good thing that many of the alchemical labs in medieval times were cramped and poorly ventilated, filled with lots of flammable books and papers to boot. So when putting toxic elements to the flame, like mercury or arsenic, you're gonna form some nasty fumes. Historical texts allude to these dangers, stating that the vapors, quote, injured the spirit and body. Trying to unlock the phenomenal cosmic powers in your itty-bitty living space is going to mean trading breathable air for some that is deadly. The high concentration will almost certainly make your temporary life even more temporary. Your last feelings as you migrate to regions beyond will be that of you coughing up your burning lungs while your pounding brain feels like it's going to burst out of your skull. Fun stuff. But even if you manage to die...
Y'all think any of them was, they drop some shit in there and then like see this like green smoke start coming out and then they start getting a real bad headache and everything else and nose slightly start bleeding, like, oh, we done fucked up, boys. We're us and everybody in this motherfucker finna die if we don't already get out and vacate the premises. Sorry I'm late. I was hauling off trash at the dumps and my truck wouldn't crank back up when I tried to leave. Damn, son. What's wrong with it? You got a bad starter or something? But the good news is we signed the final paperwork and gave them the down payment on my house, and it's officially mine. Wow! W. Joshua.
Death in the short term, he was going to win the long game. Memory loss, hallucinations, or even paralysis are all possible side effects from long-term mercury and arsenic exposure. Sometimes, though, the most dangerous beast is ourselves. Unless directly employed by a higher power, alchemists often practice their craft in secret, not only to protect any possible discoveries, but to avoid accusations. Many of the more feeble-minded people at the time mistook the scientific aspects of alchemy for witchcraft and sorcery with all that conjuring of flames and whatnot. So if the explosions, fires, or fumes didn't get you, Ned the nosy neighbor might. You can already
Being an alchemist sounds cool and all, but ultimately in the end of the day, that's something that nobody would really want to try, because you would definitely not want to be the first pioneer of finding like liquid nitrogen or some like crazy ass shit like that, dude. You would not want to be that guy. Fuel injectors, I'm pretty sure. I had my fuel filter replaced and the mechanic said my injectors were leaking gas a little bit, but I hadn't had the time or money to replace them. Yeah, you know, vehicles are like that, dude. They just, like Squanchy said the other night, the moment that you got a little bit extra in the bank, they're like, your cars are like, let me get some of that, oh, son.
Already see how this one's gonna go? Listen, royalty has always been a world of extravagance and bragging rights. Get conquered, and you can bet that all of your treats and treasures were on full display to boast to other royals.
Look how big my shiny rod is.
Aye, take a gander at me family jewels. Very nice. But not all wealth was silver and gold, as King Henry III of England would soon come to realize in 1235. Arriving on the front doorstep one morning was a gift. 3 gifts, actually. As a present in good faith to maintain political relationships, Emperor Frederick II of the Holy Roman Empire dumped 3 adult lions on Henry's doorstep. Bah. King Henry absolutely adored the giant cats and set them up in a less than suitable habitat within the Tower of London, opening up the royal menagerie to royal guests as a royal flex. The menagerie eventually expanded, with elephants, a polar bear, non-polar bears, and several monkeys all taking residence within the walls. Now, each and every one of these exotic animals required special care, so in order to provide said care, specially trained animal experts were hired to do the job, right? No. It was, of course, cheap, uneducated, and expendable laborers that were the prime candidates. Poor, unfortunate souls sent to clean, feed, and care for the beasts. And it was all easier said than done. No matter how friend-shaped wild animals may seem, they're still wild animals, and they will murder you at a moment's notice. Once you stepped into the literal lion's den, you were at their mercy. Without extensive knowledge on how to meet their most basic needs, these animals were often feral and malnourished, and thus a very real threat, especially when you're looking like a tasty treat.
So essentially, he just owned a really, really cheaply ran shitty zoo with poor hygiene for these poor beasts, and you know, they was just looking to eat whatever they could because, like he just said, they were malnourished and they were ready to fucking just pop off and kill somebody.
Habitats at the time, if you could even really call them that, were often poorly constructed and weren't any more complex than a simple cage. Some historical records allude to incidents of collapsing cages or animals managing to break free from their chains and ripping apart caretakers limb from limb. It wasn't uncommon to catch a claw from time to time or witness your buddy get converted into a PNG under an elephant's tree trunk of a foot. If you did manage to survive the animals unscathed, you might not survive your employer. Like I said before, the animals were royal property, so failing to keep them healthy may as well be a slap in the face of the king himself. Any keepers responsible for a premature death of an animal were in for severe punishment. The lucky ones were simply fired. The less than lucky ones were also fired.
That would fucking suck, dude. Well, imagine that. You come up there and the lion died. Okay. Because it was like severely malnourished or whatever. So you get up there and you're like, unfortunately, the lion didn't make it. So the guy goes and he tells the king or whatever. And the king's like, what's thou hast to say for thyself? I captured that lion a fortnight ago. And I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. He's like, you know damn well what I mean. Off with his head. Drag you outside, didn't have a fucking thing to do with you, dude. The lion just died because it was in the wrong kind of conditions. That sucks, dude. Died because of a big ass cat.
The profession of plague rat catcher is pretty self-explanatory. Bunch of plague-infested rats carrying plague-infested fleas running amok needed to be dealt with. Humanely, of course. Although rat catching or vermin extermination itself has been a profession for as long as rats have been around, they were especially in high demand during the time of the Black Plague. European cities like Paris or London were chock full of the little beasts. The spreading of the disease wasn't exactly well understood at the time, and instead of placing the blame on microscopic corn dogs, the usual go-to scapegoats were the devil, poisonous air, or the classic Jews. But some pattern-recognizing fellows realized that filthy rats usually carry filthy diseases. And it was true. Black rats, as they're known, very much did carry debilitating diseases. You got your leptospirosis to ruin your day, muscles always aching, fever never breaking, your liver dies, stinging red eyes, and a rash that never goes away. You also had salmonella, which causes you to frequently force out fluids from front to back, but also
I goddamn love that guy. Salmonella, dude, that dude's videos are funny as fuck, and they're very educational.
makes you solid in your daily crosswords. When you don't want a mass infestation to evolve into a mass infection, rat catchers were hired to help minimize the spread as best they could. Rat catchers would hunt, trap, and kill the vermin, but in doing so, they put themselves at severe risk. The thing is, rats don't exactly like being caught, so they're gonna go into a full-fledged survival panic, gnashing and gnawing at anything nearby, which would most likely be fingers, hands, an arm, or a face. The obvious problem with that is the contraction of the aforementioned diseases as well as the Black Plague itself. Of course, there were many other hazards. Remember them fleas I mentioned? Well, they would do a little emigration to a new host. You. Once you were infected, all of your own personal fleas and lice, since you're a dirt poor medieval peasant, would then further spread diseases like wildfire. But bites and bugs weren't the only threat. Rat catchers often had to venture into enemy territory, squeezing through holes and swimming through cesspits to find rat nests to kill them at the source. Rummaging around in all of that danky and stanky meant a lot of environmental exposure. Sustaining a simple scrape against a stone.
Dude, I gotta hand it to this guy. Chat history. He's like, his animations are fucking funny. They really are, dude. They're funny. They've been getting me this whole time.
Slab that subsequently slathered in shit leads to a nasty, potentially life-threatening infection. Similar to the gong farmers or night soilmen from my previous worst jobs video, these rat catchers could also succumb to suffocating in sewer slop. Not only that, but the frequent use of arsenic-based rat poison could do a number on the lungs. The good news, though, is that all of the success of the medieval rat catchers helped severely limit the spread of the Black Plague, bringing the total death count to only tens of millions of people. You did your best, rat catchers, and it makes for a nice tale. Now, if you think that grave robbing wasn't a job, think again. Although highly illegal, grave robbers still performed work with the goal of getting paid based on whatever they could yoink from defenseless corpses. Compensation for work sounds like a job to me. And it was way more common than you'd think. According to archaeological studies by the University of Cambridge, it's estimated that over 20% of graves in northern and western medieval Europe showed evidence of tampering between the 5th and 6th centuries. Graves were robbed for two main reasons. The first, and most obvious, was stealing valuables. This could be anything from grandma's bracelets, rings, or even her iconic red jewel. If you were brave, you could even rip out Gam Gam's golden teeth. The other reason was stealing the bodies themselves. Much more difficult, but potentially more lucrative. In the late medieval period, a medical revolution was underway, meaning that practicing physicians were in need of cadavers to poke and prod to figure out how humans worked. The fresh ones were preferred, but beggars couldn't be choosers. But they could be grave robbers. The dangers of the infamous side hustle were plentiful. For one, just digging 6 feet into the earth is not easy. If you've ever woken up to a few tons of gravel dumped into your driveway with your dad enthusiastically standing there with a shovel, you have an idea of how much it would suck. But besides the ergonomic injuries, digging that deep in fresh soil was very dangerous. By definition, loose soil isn't very stable, and there have been multiple reports throughout history of grave robbers being discovered buried in the very graves they attempted to rob. Robbers were also running the risk of digging up the diseased deceased. Victims of the plague, tuberculosis, leprosy, and smallpox can have their afflictions live on far after their own deaths. If life was like a box of chocolates, then death was simply a sack of farts. You knew exactly what you were getting, you just didn't know how bad. Cracking open a coffin could leave you coffin instead. But it was a known risk. If falling dirt...
I like how he animated it to where the inside of the coffin looked like there were scratch marks on it, because there is a large theory that a lot of people would go into like a coma or something like that back then, and they would stuff them in the grave and then in turn bury them, and then like after they're exhumed after so long to be moved or whatever it is, they'll find like evidence of people scratching the fuck out of the inside of the thing where they woke up at some point and realized that they were buried and then in turn died. That's terrifying.
And disease failed to cut your life short, then someone else would. Grave robbing was a crime, a very serious crime. And graveyards were holy property, and as such, any guards patrolling could act as your judge, jury, and executioner. Guards were granted special permission to deal with any disturbances any way they saw fit, like fitting a spear through your skull. Luckily, you've already done all the heavy lifting of digging a grave. The guards just had to tidy up. If the guards were more merciful, you would simply be arrested and your fate left to the courts. But you would most likely end up 6 feet over the ground before you ended up 6 feet under it. Bell ringers actually had a pretty important job for the everyday person. They were the timekeepers. Yeah, sure, there was that big glowing ball in the sky to tell you dawn and dusk, but all the other hours were approximations. It was up to bell ringers to mark the important times of the day, call people to service, or chime special occasions. But doing so was extremely physically taxing. A standard tower bell could weigh anywhere between a few hundred pounds all the way up to several tons. Granted, the big-ass bells required multiple people, but each man pulled his own weight, and then some. Having a tug-of-war match with a several-ton hunk of metal isn't the best wager to make. The sheer momentum of these bells as they swung back and forth was something to be reckoned with, and it demanded respect. Or else. A survey conducted in 1990 asked several thousand London bell ringers about any injuries sustained during their ringing duties, and the answers didn't leave much to the imagination. Ripped fingernails, crushed limbs, falls from the tower, and even accidental hangings had occurred. Ringing ropes became a death trap.
That shit said teeth ripped out. How in God's name do you get your teeth ripped out? What are we doing? You trying to pull that shit with your mouth, brother?
The ringers became too complacent. Now keep in mind, this was in the 1990s, well into the modern age with considerations for safety. So imagine how much more frequent these types of injuries must have occurred back in medieval times. If you weren't snagged by the rope, you certainly had your bones rattled by the deafening sound of the bells themselves. Many of the large city towers were equipped with multiple bells, each one producing different pitches or rung under different circumstances. Being right in the middle of all that crippling cacophony meant the risk of blowing out your eardrums. Each separate ring could emit a head-splitting 120 decibels, well into the deafening range of sound, even if only momentarily. For comparison, 120 decibels is like being right next to T-Swift's private jet as it takes off to cross the street. Each of those bursts of sounds were enough to cause permanent damage to hearing unless protection was used. And you know damn well medieval bell ringers didn't use no protection. They simply took the method of, you'll get used to it. The biggest threat to a ringer's life, however, wasn't the bells or the ropes, but something a bit more flashy. Lightning. You see, back in the God-fearing, superstitious times of old, thunderstorms were believed to be moments of divine rage. But don't worry, when God's mad, you can just soothe him with the sweet clang of tuned metal. Or, at least, that was the belief. Many medieval fellas instructed the poor ring-a-dingers to bang their bells in an attempt to chase away thunderstorms, and wouldn't you know it, didn't work. Some reports from the 1700s claim that over 100 bell ringers gained first-hand experience of the human body's ability to conduct electricity. Lightning could either strike the tower or the bell directly, delivering a death jolt down the rain-soaked line and through the poor soul attempting to single-handedly banish an entire fucking thunderstorm with a series of Taco Bell bongs. The number of deaths got so bad that some countries, like France, surrendered to the heavens and banned thunderstorm bell ringing until the invention of the lightning rod in the mid-1700s. Although it seemed like a relatively safe and simple job, working high in the tower had plenty of ways to get dinged in your dong.
That is one job that I would have not done. I would have been a rat catcher. I probably would have, so far on the list, if I had to choose one from back then and didn't have any other option, like again, so far on the list, it probably would have been alchemy. Just simply for the fact that, yeah, I mean, it could blow up in my face or whatever the case is, but like, I don't want my limbs crushed, my teeth ripped out, whatever the fuck they was doing for that. I damn sure don't want to get struck by lightning because I'm trying to chase away a fucking thunderstorm with a bell sound. What the hell do they think it was? A living creature? That doesn't make any sense to me. Nobody back I don't know, man. Like, it's just confusing because it's like nobody back then ever sat there and thought to themselves, well, every time the wind blows, I notice that the storm moves. So it just kind of travels with the wind. You know, I don't know. But so far, yeah, alchemy would be the only one that I would want to do.
Alright, hear me out. The medieval scribe was by no means an adrenaline-charged, fast-paced profession, but that's kind of the point. The life of a medieval scribe was the most bland, boring, and mind-numbing jobs in all of human history. Before Papa Gutenberg invented his famous printing press, entire books were written by hand. This process was physically exhausting, mentally taxing, and extremely slow, resulting in books being expensive, which is why books were for rich people. But the requirement for a personal touch did allow for creative freedom, creating unique works of art with each copy. Sweet. But there's only so many times you can generate artistic flourishes around the word "the" before your creative juices start drying up. As a medieval scribe, your job was to write. All day, every day. Except Sundays. Those are for Jesus. But all of that writing, especially in the same position day in and day out, puts a very real toll on the human body. We simply weren't designed to sit for most hours of the day, so stop slouching. Scribes worked in specialized rooms called scriptoriums, which held all of the cutting-edge equipment needed for efficient scribbling: a writing desk, ink, paper, and feathers for quills. As for content, scribes copied a wide variety of topics: science, history, cultural literature, and of course, religious texts. This ensured that tradition and know-how could be passed down across the generations, binding knowledge in paper and leather. But them's a lot of words to read and write. Scanning hundreds of thousands of words with your eyeballs took a toll on them. The constant nearsighted strain often resulted in scribes fucking up their vision and developing chronic migraines. Now, there's often a misconception that, hell, even I had prior to researching this, that scribes were these frail old men writing by candlelight. That's not true. Instead, scriptoriums were specifically designed to take advantage of natural light, with windows facing the east to bathe in the morning sun. Writing desks were set up near these windows to maximize their illumination. The setting of the sun simply meant that your shift was over. Now, what people might not realize is that back in the day, candles were very expensive, and so was paper, so it would be stupid to literally burn through your money in a dimly lit room full of flammable paper. But yeah, like I said, all of that repetitive writing posed very real ergonomic hazards. The constant swishing of a quill across pages put a lot of wear and tear on joints and muscles, resulting in agonizing carpal tunnel syndrome and severe spinal deformations from all of the hunching over. But if osteoarthritis or chronic back pain weren't enough for you, other inherent dangers
So, I mean, it's obvious that this is one of the worst jobs that you could get, like, as in, like, long term, because you got to be doing this shit for a long time. You don't really got anything that's going to kill you. You're just going to ultimately kill yourself. Fucking around with migraines, eyes squinted all to hell, can't, like, you can't see nothing. You're having a bad time as it is, dude. Hands cramping up. And chances are, since it was the medieval days, they probably thought when you got to that point that you had been infected with some sort of demon, and you would get some kind of exorcism. And if it didn't work after that, yeah, then they would probably kill you.
Were waiting. Another health hazard for these scribbling scribes was the very medium used to immortalize history, the ink. Standard black ink was made from plant-based fluid and iron sulfate. Black was the most common color, thus it made up a vast majority of the writing, and luckily it wasn't too terribly toxic. But all of the fancier colors used to decorate or illuminate the pages certainly were. Vermilion red ink contained mercury, vibrant yellows and greens used arsenic, and bright white ink used lead. Exposure or absorption through the skin was known to have caused chronic physical or mental symptoms like rashes, headaches, and memory loss. Which brings up one of the more dangerous aspects of the job. It was actually very common for scribes to leave little notes in their copies alluding to them losing their friggin' minds. A note at the end of an 8th century book says, "He who does not know how to write does not think that it is a labor. 3 fingers write, the whole body labors. Whoever has read this book, pray for me." Another scribe from the 11th century wrote a little note at the end of his writing endeavor. It says, "Thus let this composition be ended here. God help my hands." And finally, we come to one of the most damning examples. It reads, "The shit sucks." This was a real problem. The constant mental anguish of doing.
I think the terrible part of this whole situation here is, like, you can't quit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they just had the freedom back then to go, yeah, I'm done, I'm out. And even if they did have the freedom to do so, what else are they going to do? What other, like, trade did they know? So they probably felt trapped, almost as if like a prisoner doomed to just constantly write day in and day out, day in and day out. And I imagine that they probably didn't get very many days off, because I don't think back then, like, days off was something that, like, they really considered, you know. But then again, though, I don't know, that may not be true.
Nothing but writing for years caused some scribes to teeter on the edge of insanity, where a comfortable rope necklace could free them from their suffering. Metaphorically, of course. Scribes really were some of the most unsung heroes. Despite the mundane career path, they were a critical part of human history. They were the ones who preserved it, or at least their version of it. After all, writers had the right to write what they thought was right.
Chat history. That shit was awesome. Hell yeah. I'd be moving on, oh son. I don't know what I don't know what I necessarily intend to do now. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I may not stream RP tonight. Like, I'm gonna play it, but I may not stream it. Simply for the fact that it's 6:38, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, because I got up so early and went to the doctor and everything. I'm kind of tired. And I don't want, like, I don't want to be on here and be boring as hell, because when it, like, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but I didn't talk a whole lot through that video, and that sucks, because I'm not one of those people that just likes to copy content and just repost it. Like, I like to actually have my own take on it, and like the way I talk about it and whatnot, and like kind of inject myself in those situations. So, like, I don't really. I mean, I'm still gonna post it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm still gonna post that video, but at the same time, though, I don't want the live to be boring, because I'm tired. I am sleepy today, dude. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, and I kind of feel like shit, because I was up so late last night and then had to turn around and get up so early this morning. So I'll play RP tonight, but I may not necessarily stream it. And I know this was a really, really short live stream, with it only being like an hour and so. But I just wanted to get I just wanted to get in here and at least, like, talk to y'all and whatnot and have some fun in the beginning. But with that being said, dude, I'm going to go ahead and end the live here. Thank y'all for coming through, talking to me about video games and whatnot, and watching videos with me. I appreciate everything, oh, son. I love the comments. I love all y'all to death. I will be back tomorrow at 5:30, same time, same place. Don't pawn anything that don't belong to you. Don't microwave metal, and sign up on food stamps while you still can, oh, son.